off with Rolling Fork as it is making its way closer and closer towards you guys. We can definitely tell that it is getting closer as we can see those dark clouds out there in the horizon and kind of almost like we're getting a shelf cloud, some lightning out there in the distance as well. So that warning not quite covering you guys in Rolling Fork just yet, just outside of y'all's area. But this severe thunderstorm warning will continue pushing further into North Mississippi. We did see this get extended, which is why we wanted to hop on and break this down for you guys as it is now in our viewing area and want to cover it as it continues making its way into North Mississippi. Let's take another look out here in Greenville. This will be just north of the storm as it continues to push on through. We can see the rainy part of this. I wonder if we could get any lightning as well. There you go. You can see those faint strikes out there in the distance. Thankfully, not really seeing many cloud to ground strikes. We'd like to keep that up in the air as much as possible. Don't want any of those striking any trees or power poles or anything like that. Don't want to cause any power outages. But wanted to get on here to cover the severe thunderstorm warning as it makes its way into the southern portions of the Delta. So we can actually see that this severe thunderstorm warning did get extended a little bit further north. So now we're talking about, Washington, excuse me, it got extended a little bit further south. I'm mixing up my directions. It's still talking about Washington, parts of Sharkey getting closer towards you guys of Rolling Fork, but Issaquena and Washington are the two main Mississippi counties, and it's still working its way out of Louisiana in the East Carroll Parish, West Carroll Parish, and out of Arkansas and Chillicothe, Arkansas. Audio is really crackling. That's on YouTube. I'm going to need somebody on Facebook to tell me that as well, which is why I was nervous getting on because we were having audio issues earlier, so I wasn't able to make it on the 5 or the 6. So if the audio still isn't working, let me walk off screen here because I did not bring my phone with me, and I can kind of hear what you're talking about behind the scenes. I can pull that up for you guys and just make sure I don't miss any notifications either, because there's no point on me trying to give you the latest and then y'all can barely hear it. So let me pull that up with you guys, and I'll continue to put it on something that way you can look at it while I break this down. So again, we're still talking about just heavy rain as the severe thunderstorm warning continues to push further into North Mississippi in our viewing area. We'll put a track on this while I fix the audio. Actually, I have it pulled up. It is a little bit crackly. No, I definitely hear what you're talking about. Let me make sure my cord is not messing up either. And then I'm going to do that, give you all a track. That way y'all can see the latest city timing-wise. And then I'll get that fixed for you guys. So hopefully the crackling will stop, but at least it is definitely hearable. So y'all can definitely hear what I'm talking about. I want to make sure that is for sure something that y'all can hear. So let's take a look at this. I know Matt was tracking out a few thunderstorms earlier. I mean, these are going to be very slow moving thunderstorms. I mean, we can go, yeah, sounds fine. Oh, I got a sounds fine and a sound weird back to back. Okay, yeah, it's a little poppy, very light popping. Okay, that's going to be something we're going to continue to work on. I've been doing that the past few hours here, and we'll continue to make sure that sounds good for you guys. But as long as y'all can hear me and make out the words I'm talking about, that will be perfect. And I can get that figured out for you behind the scenes, but we'll at least get this a visual for you guys. So let's do a storm track on this as this line continues pushing into our viewing area. We'll go right along the leading edge, and let me pull it up on, oh shoot, let's clear that out. I misclicked right there. There we go. Let's do this again. Do the leading edge, and then I believe I wanted to pull this up on my other radar so I can get a good representation on how fast it's moving for you guys. The warning that they issued, yeah, it's only moving east at 15. So we'll still go 20. That way it's just a little bit ahead of schedule for you guys, and talk about that. Then I'll move this over here and we can break that down for you guys. So Vailwood at 7, same for McCutcheon, Forest, Estill at 7:04, Marathon at 7:05, Addy at 7:08, same for Warsaw, Empire 7:09, Hollandale 7:12, Hampton 7:13, same for Darlove, Cottonwood and Clatonia around 7:15, same for Overby, Percy at 7:15 as well, Millard's Landing 7:19, and Woodside around 7:20. And to just knock this down a little bit, that way you guys can know some landmarks and other cities that are easier to distinguish on the map, because I know we have a lot of them here and a lot of different communities out there. Forest 7 o'clock, Hollandale 7:12, Mayersville 7:21, Lake Providence around 7:30, and Gwilla 7:47. Same for you guys out there in Rolling Fork, and Cary at 7:54. So that's giving you the latest timing Okay, it seems like y'all are able to understand most of the audio. If it's not pristine, I'm gonna get that ready for you guys by the 9 and the 10 o'clock, but I'm glad y'all can hear me as we continue breaking this down for you guys. So this severe thunderstorm warning is a wind issued one. We're not really talking about anything tornadic by any means. That is not the story tonight or this evening. And we're going to continue to not talk about that. It's just still very wind driven, the potential for some hail, and we can go clear this off for you guys. That way you can see the peak impacts again, and we'll see if it's changed much. But we weren't really talking about significant hail one bit. So take a look at this. We're only looking at two colors here, and on the grand scheme of things, the best colors that we could look at for our peak impacts, and that's green and purple. We're talking about very heavy rain moving on through, and also the potential for hail. But one thing I do want to notice is for that hail risk, we're talking about the lightest shade of purple. So that confidence, not quite there. We've seen some darker returns in previous storms throughout the week that we're showing some more confidence with this. So still a very just windy, gusty storm making its way across the Mississippi River right now, maybe trying to drop some pea-sized, dime-sized hail. But we're not talking about anything severe, meaning that 1 inch in diameter criteria at this moment. Hopefully that continues to be the story. Don't really want to see these continue to build. And another thing I want to point out, those lightning strikes have already gone down about 40 within the past maybe 5 minutes. We were around 1,300, now down to 1,263. So the minute we start to see those lightning strikes start to decrease, that is a sign that this storm's not really maturing. It's starting to kind of let go of everything, start its dissipating stage, and that's when the severe weather currently or typically happens, as we can see currently. So we're going to continue breaking this down for you guys as it continues pushing into North Mississippi. And another thing that we want to keep in mind with as far as when we look at the grand scheme of everything, most of North Mississippi is staying dry. We'll put this back on precipitation and I'll move this over for you guys so that we can kind of see what we're talking about. Most of North Mississippi is staying dry. We're dealing with the severe thunderstorm warning, but another thing is we don't have an SPC or severe weather risk that was put out today. So even when we're talking about these just hot, humid, muggy days, how we can have these afternoon showers and storms, because of how hot and toasty we are, especially for you guys in the southern portions of the Delta, there is an unstable and just humid air mass out there that can support some stronger storms. And when we look ahead for your Thursday, we're still not under one, but there's a potential for some more strong storms to occur tomorrow, which is why we'll make sure to cover them for you guys. And then even heading into Friday, we are actually in that level 1 out of 5. So just to show you guys that we don't need these colors to pop up here in North Mississippi for us to see some of these severe weather storms to move through North Mississippi. Thankfully, we're not talking about anything intense or anything tornadic. That's not the story even for your Friday. That's still another wind-driven event heading our way. But still, just doesn't take much with this pattern that we're in here in Mississippi, which is how hot, how humid and muggy we are. Very unstable atmosphere, and these storms, they can definitely take advantage of it. So again, most of us here in North Mississippi, we're staying dry, but we want to continue monitoring this severe thunderstorm warning as it makes its way further into the southern portions of the Delta. So let's go take a look back at our rolling fork camera. It was showing those darker clouds making its way closer and closer towards you guys, and we can see that warning just on the outskirts of the rolling fork community. So still heavy and dark clouds out there in the distance. The rain shafts are probably going to be further out there, but you can't really see them quite as prominently just due to how far they still are away from our camera and just blending in with the darkness, and just those darker, eerier looking clouds make its way to you guys. There's some flashes of lightning. 88 degrees feels like 99, so there's that hot, humid, just muggy air mass in the southern portions of the Delta that this storm is trying to take advantage of as we continue pushing into the 7 o'clock hour. So still having to deal with some of these storms as we continue into the evening before we can dry on completely. Out here in Greenville, we can see that severe thunderstorm warning just a little bit further south. So this is the angle or direction our camera is looking. That's all rain happening right now. So just very, very heavy rain moving through. And we're not really talking about too much lightning at this moment. And we can see maybe a few flashes out there in the distance earlier. I thought I saw one right when we flipped it here, but we're not seeing significant bolts. And that continues to be very impressive and definitely a good thing. We don't want to see any of those cloud to ground strikes causing any risks for damage or power outages. There's some of those flashes, thankfully, further up in the sky. That severe thunderstorm warning just south of the community out there in Greenville. So we kind of see a good visual on that. A big thanks to the North Mississippi Storm Chasers for providing these cameras so we can actually get a visual on that. Looking at the comments, tired of Mother Nature taking advantage of us. It's been too hot. I think that was Nikki commenting that. I think all of North Mississippi would agree with you. I think we're tired of the hot, humid weather here, but unfortunately, that's also just summer here in Mississippi, but we're pretty used to it. We can definitely push through the next little bit, and we're going to keep you updated all throughout the summer, and we'll be ready for fall just as much as you guys are. Now, another thing I want to point out, just with how heavy this rain was, flash flood warning was issued out there in Arkansas. That'll expire at 8 o'clock later on this evening. So still just showing that, honestly, another threat that we kind of typically don't always think about. And you guys are always worried about that tornado threat, the hail threat. We're talking about that wind threat. But even just flash flooding, that is another big concern with some of these severe thunderstorm warnings, just how much rainfall we could get in a matter of minutes and just like an hour, especially with how slow these continue to move. I mean, if you've been on since we started, I mean, it was just pretty much on top of the Mississippi River, inching closer and closer towards Hollandale. And it's still in the same spot. I think we got issued as a storm moving at around 15 miles per hour. So very, very slow, which means you're getting all that constant, heavy, just rainfall sitting on top of you guys for a long duration of time. And that will cause some issues with flash flooding. So we can take a look at all of our products here to kind of erase any worries you guys have. We can take a look at our wind threat here and try to see if we can find anything rotating. That is not the story. So our storm relative wind, we're not seeing any of those brighter reds or those greens colliding with each other, starting to showcase or show you guys that there is some rotation. That is not the case. We're seeing all this green, just gusty winds blowing towards the radar site. We're not seeing anything blowing away besides kind of the leading edge. That's the inflow that the storm's ingesting as it continues making its way across the Mississippi River. Those threats, now this is what we're talking about with that hail threat. We are going to see this continue to rise just a little bit, especially those lightning strikes. We're up to 1,400, but that may have been because I was zoomed out just a little bit. And we are starting to see some of those darker purple show up. And I can even query this, if that's the right word. Let's see if I can get that darker purple. So yes, we do have some of those darker shades. It's saying peak impacts. We could see up to 1.5 inches in hail. Not likely, especially with just how heavy the rainfall is. It's probably melting on its way down, but would not be surprised to see some hail kind of falling pretty much right on top of the Mississippi River, getting closer towards you guys in Alhambra, close towards the Vailwood community, Marathon. This is probably the strongest part of the storm, and if we were to match that with precipitation, we're going to see those brighter returns. Exactly. So definitely starting to see that continue to move on through, and we'll see how that's looped the past few minutes. I'll move this back so you guys can watch it with me, see how those brighter returns. Let me clear that off for you guys. That way we don't see that number. We're going to see those purple and pink start to really pop on up. So yeah, that's your hail core right here, pretty much right on top of the Mississippi River. So I hope nobody's outside, but if any of y'all were to be on the Mississippi River, y'all definitely see some splashes as not only the raindrops are hitting it pretty heavy, but probably a few hailstones as well. So this is on its way towards Alhambra. We can do another storm track for you guys. Let's stay zoomed in and we'll do this first, and then we'll do another wide storm track, but that way you guys, we'll do one with the hail core. So let's just start here as that will fan out, and we'll still go around 20 miles per hour. So the brunt of this storm right here, I have highlighted Alhambra coming at you in the next few minutes. Y'all are probably starting to get that heavy rain start to fall. Glen Allen 712, Hampton 716, Spencer 721, same for Woodside, Grace at 725, and Sago around 732. And I do a little track on that with the leading edge. We'll continue to do that just slightly ahead. That way we can give you guys a good heads up before it makes its way towards y'all. I'm going to go off screen here, so I can't quite hit 20. We'll go at 18. So there we go. We'll zoom out just a little bit. That way you guys can see what all I'm talking about. Empire 709, Hampton 710, Hollandale 711, Percy 714, Clatonia and Darlove at 715. Same for Overby. Cottonwood 716, Newtown 719, 720 for Miller's Landing and Woodside. Hopedale 722, Sago around 723, Floyd and Mayersville at 724, Ashland and Grace at 726, and then Ellerslie? I'm going to go with Ellerslie. I think that one sounds better. 727. So still tracking that out as it continues moving its way. That's kind of the probably most intense portion of the storm, making its way closer towards you guys out there in the Alhambra community. Somebody says that it's echoing in the chat. Now, if there's ever an issue with the audio, please spam the chat. Let me know. I've been having audio issues and I want to make sure you guys can hear everything I'm talking about. But let's zoom back out just a little bit more as this severe thunderstorm warning continues pushing into North Mississippi. We'll do another track on it, this time on the larger scale to cover kind of all of it. We'll go with that leading edge right here towards Forest. Okay, and then we'll still go around 20 miles per hour. And that still might be a little bit too fast. So this should hopefully give you a good heads up as it makes its way closer towards you guys. And then we went through all of those just a second ago. So we're now at Bowie at 725, Vickland 725, same for Waddle, Lake Providence at 727, and then switching this over here so we can go through the same steps. Mayersville 720, Isola around 721, Lake Providence 727, Anguilla 741, Belzona and Rolling Fork at 744, Cary 753, and 808 for Silver City. Now, I have the live stream pulled up on my phone. That way I can continue hearing my audio. So bear with me as I'm going to stick that up to my ear to make sure it's still sounding pretty good. Okay. We're doing good so far. So I know that's the YouTube stream. I know somebody on Facebook said it was echoing. If y'all have any more comments, please let me know. I want to make sure that continues working for all of y'all. But again, very slow moving storm here as it continues to cross the Mississippi River and into the southern portions of the Delta. So not going to be a very fast moving one. So once you hear those rumbles of thunder, some flashes of lightning, heavy rainfall, probably going to sit over you guys for a little bit. But as you can tell, I mean, there's nothing behind this storm here. So once it blows on through, like you guys out there in Eudora, Parkdale, Wilmot, you guys are good. Y'all aren't even in that severe thunderstorm warning anymore. National Weather Service is going to do a great job kind of shaving those off as it continues pushing into North Mississippi. And hopefully we don't see too many extensions with it. I know we did